Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. So as you can see from the title of this video already, you know what this video is going to be about. I did put a question on my Instagram stories the other day asking people what they mostly wanted to hear from me, especially when I do these sit down videos, and a lot of it was coming up about my recovery from my amputation. And I think a lot of people just think as soon as you have your amputation you can just get a prosthetic and off you go, but it's really not the case. And I have had a few messages from new amputees and also people that are scheduled for amputations, so I thought I would go from amputation recovery to prosthetics as quickly and efficiently as I possibly can, because as you can imagine there's a lot to it. This is only my experience as well. I can't speak for everybody else. As you can imagine, there's so many amputees out there with different stories, different amputations. So like I said, this is just my process. So for those that don't know, I had my amputation, it will be 7 years in August. I actually cannot believe it's nearly been 7 years. It feels, I actually had this conversation with somebody the other day, it actually feels like it was just a month ago. Everything, when I speak about it, it's just really fresh. I don't know why. I don't know what it is actually about it, but yeah, anyway, it has been 7 years nearly this year. And for those that don't know, I had my amputation in New York. I was unfortunately hit by a taxi whilst I was walking on the pavement. So my leg unfortunately was severed off at the scene of the crash. So for me, my recovery process started in New York. So I spent nearly 6 weeks in hospital recovering. So I had to have 4 different surgeries, and first surgery that I had was to kind of tidy up everything that was really left of my leg. I had to have then a drain put in. Also my bone was still exposed from the first surgery because they still had to tidy everything up. So I had epidurals in my back, so I didn't feel anything. Luckily when I got to the hospital they put that in the first surgery, so that was perfect. So when I went in for the second surgery I thought it was completely fine, you know, they tidied up, patched, whatever they needed to do. The third surgery was the worst. They took the epidural out. Oh, I can still remember it and it makes my back go funny. It was yeah it was yeah, I can't even describe it. So yeah, they took the epidural out at that point because I actually couldn't have it physically anymore, because it's really not, you know, it's not for really long term. So yeah, the epidural was taken away from me. I then had a morphine drip, so I could pump morphine, I think it was every 10 minutes, and I'd wait and I'd look at the clock and I would wait, and as soon as the hand would hit where it had been 10 minutes I would pump, and I'd do it again and I'd pump and pump and pump and pump. And at one point I remember Keisha thinking that's too much, because I was going like this. When they first gave it to me I was literally just pumping the morphine, really trying to get it out, but then we found out it was only every 10 minutes. I remember Keisha being like like a bit worried about pumping that much morphine into myself, but yeah, we only found out it was every 10 minutes. But yeah, so that was that. So that was my pain management, and obviously I was having so many tablets, and I had to have blood thinning tablets because blood thinning injections because I was in bed for so long. Obviously I was prone to blood clots, so that's why I had to have the blood thinning injections. And I can tell you the injections felt like somebody was just going like this right in my arm every single time. Bam, right in my arm. It was it was so bad, it was awful. I remember at one point just being poked and prodded, 6 in the morning, being woken up having tablets after tablets after tablets, and I just felt like I was just this dummy that was just lying there, and people were just coming in, giving me a batter, coming in, giving me another batter. It just felt like I was just in a fight, a constant fight for nearly 6 weeks. So it was just absolutely insane. But obviously everyone's recovery process is completely different. Some people might be watching this and thinking, well, I've got health issues, I'm going in, it's scheduled, you know, it's all going to be under control. I don't know what it's like to go down that route. Obviously mine is from trauma, so I can only speak from, like I said, my own experience. And it was absolutely horrendous. And also I had other injuries, so I wasn't just dealing with my amputation. I remember I had my eye was so swollen because I hit the floor when I was hit by the taxi. It was so swollen. I couldn't breathe because my ribs were bruised, because obviously, like I said, I landed on my front. I had to have staples in my right leg also. I don't know if you can see, but I've got a big scar there. Sitting in my sock. Big scar there. So that's exactly the point of the taxi hit me, because that had a huge open wound. And my hero, Dave Justino, the plumber that saved my life, he used a dog lead around this leg to stop me from bleeding. So that was that. I had to have 10 staples in the back of my head because I can feel it now, I've got a huge scar. It's about probably that big at the back of my head. So yeah, 10 staples were in that. I'll insert any photos that I can from being in hospital and my recovery and everything else. I won't show you any pictures of my legs because I don't know how squeamish people are, and I wouldn't want you to faint watching any of my videos because they're pretty horrendous. After about 3.5 weeks of being in intensive care, I then went down to, it was the rehab ward, that was it, the rehab ward. And I just wanted to get down there so bad, because it just meant that I was one step closer to coming home, which that's all I was caring about. I think I asked the surgeon every single day, when can I go home, when can I go home? And he'd be like, oh, you know, not quite yet, we still need to do this, we still need to do that. But yeah, he was absolutely amazing at what he did, because he managed, you know, he really did work with what he had, which wasn't a lot. So I got down to the recovery ward. I would then wait for my 4th and final surgery. So my 4th surgery basically was to close the drain. So obviously I had, like I said, I had a drain coming out of my leg. So it was to take the drain out and then take a bit more skin, because I've got a skin graft. Let me show you. So I've got a big skin graft there. And this was pretty sure that was the last part that they took to then cover the little part of the drain. So yeah, that's what I had to have, and that was quite hard healing as well, that skin graft. That was odd. And I remember I had a Pandora bracelet that I'd bought from New York, and it had a little fairy Tinkerbell. And basically when your skin graft heals, it's almost like, it looks like a shiny bit of cling film, and then it's white, completely white, and then when it starts to heal, it starts to get this like shiny layer. And I remember rolled over and the Tinkerbell sliced my skin graft. It just wasn't nice. So yeah, the rehab ward, that was where I was really put to the test. I was dealing with infections, which was awful. I think I had they have 2 or 3 infections plus blood transfusions. So I was getting all this stuff still, but still having to try and get out of bed, obviously in my wheelchair, go down to the rehab, try and do all these different tasks that they would have us do. And it was even as simple as lifting up and making tea. But because I had such bad injuries to my right leg, that was what was really testing for me. So that was really hard to try and do. But yeah, after I was there for nearly 6 weeks, so after all of that, and I, you know, recovered from the 4th surgery, I was, you know, starting to feel slightly better. Everything, it was really funny because everything was just still so numb, but it was better than what it felt like obviously when I first went into the hospital. So it was almost like I was feeling better, but I really wasn't well, like at all. And even on the flight home, the pressure, my whole body just felt like it was just like pins and needles, and had to just basically lie there. It was, well, I was in club class, so I did have like a bed, and my insurance covered me to fly club class as well, which was, you know, always get insurance, guys. Never travel anywhere without insurance. Trust me, it was the biggest godsend ever. So do not travel without insurance. So yeah, like I said, my insurance covered me for that, but it was just awful. It was just really, really bad. And it took me a good, I want to say probably about 3 to 4 months to finally feel like I was somewhat okay, because I was still feeling sick from medication. It was just grueling, everything. Like, my body had been through so much trauma at that point. I just felt like I wasn't myself for, even though it was only that long, we stayed in hospital for nearly 6 weeks. It was then the after part that I then had to like come home and try and do regular things, still feeling so unwell. But you know, we did it. And then it was on to the best part, which was prosthetics. So I first got cast for a prosthetic leg in, I think I want to say it was November of 2013, and that's because I was extremely lucky enough to have funding from Dr. Oz, who gave me, it was about £20,000 or £25,000 for prosthetic leg care, private prosthetic leg care should I say. So it didn't come to me, I didn't get the money in my bank, it went straight to the limb centre. So anything that I would need or go to, or, you know, need any new sockets or need any new liners, it would all just come out of that money for a fair few years. So that was just the best gift that anyone could have possibly ever given me at that point. And I know obviously that's not the case for everyone. Everyone doesn't get private care, and you know, the NHS can only do so much in terms of prosthetics. So if it wasn't for Dr. Oz giving me that money for the private care, I would have had to wait a further 3 to 4 months to get a prosthetic leg. So I would have been in a wheelchair a lot longer, and it was already getting quite difficult for me at that point because I was so independent before. I was itching just to get going again. I was only 24, so I was young, and I just was itching to get on my feet. I really wanted to just start walking again. And people think, you know, like I thought, oh, you're gonna get your prosthetic leg and you're just gonna be off. No, you are not. So if you've watched a few of my videos, I think you would have seen a few of the processes to make a prosthetic leg. So they do cast your leg. So they cast this part of your leg. So they put the liner on, and then this part is basically like a cast you would have on your arm. They will cast this whole part, smooth it out, and then that bit of your leg then becomes this top part of your leg. So this part is carbon fibre. So that's what that is made out of. And then I got to basically walk on a few different feet for different ankles, and then whichever one suited me, that's the one I had. So that was a really good, it was just a really amazing day, amazing experience, and I just feel extremely lucky that, you know, I had so much unlucky things happen to me at that point, but that was, I just felt so lucky and really privileged to have had a leg at that point in my life. So I was really grateful, and always will be, for Dr. Oz for doing that for me. So walking on a prosthetic leg, like I said, I wouldn't have got my NHS leg for probably a good, or at that point it would have been a good 6 months after my amputation. So I actually got to walk on something really crazy called a pomade. So had your amputation in the UK, you would have probably walked on a pomade. I don't know if they do it in the US. Like I said, at that point I was already back in the UK. I don't know what the care is from that point. But yeah, so when I got fitted for my NHS leg, so they cast me, it's like this big balloon that is suctioned onto your leg. I'll insert a video if I can, because I've still got that video of me doing that. And also when I actually trained to walk on the prosthetic leg. So you walk, everyone walks in bars, it's just safe to do it that way. Walked in the bars, and it was really funny for me because I used to be a stilt walker. So from the age of 16 to 24, when I lost my leg, I was a stilt walker. My sister trained me when I left school to go and do stilt walking with her. So that's exactly what I used to do. And I felt like when I walked on a prosthetic, it felt like I was almost just walking on a stilt. And I really had that upper hand when walking, because I remember when I was walking, they were like, oh, you know, you're getting this really well. I was like, yeah, because it feels like a stilt. It's really odd. And yeah, from that point, I just kept thinking to myself, oh, it's almost like, okay, you're putting on your stilt, it's fine. Because on stilts, your foot's there, you've got the pole, and then you've got like another rubber base. So basically I treated this bottom of my foot like the rubber base, and this part was where my foot was. So when I was walking, that's the mentality I had, and it worked. And I just walked. I think it helped me build my walking on my prosthetic up a lot quicker, because you can't, when you get your prosthetic, like I said, it's not like you're just off. You really do have to build your leg up, because you got to remember your leg has been through a lot of trauma. It's still getting its shape, it's still healing, so everything is still new. So it's trying to mold to this shape that you're putting onto it, but yet you can't overdo it. That's the only thing. If you're a new amputee or you're scheduled for an amputation, please don't think that you are just going to get this prosthetic and you're going to be running off, because that's not the case in the slightest. You definitely have to build it up, and don't force yourself or push yourself too much, because that is when things can get so bad. I will see if I've got a picture of when I probably overdone it, or not probably, did overdo it a lot. And my leg was, oh god, it was so sore, it was so itchy, to the point where my leg swelled up so much I couldn't fit it back into my socket of my leg. That's how bad it was. So don't think that, you know, you're just gonna be off, because no, you won't. So guys, that is everything for today's video. I hope that you found this video somewhat helpful or interesting on some level, if you didn't really know about what kind of happens when you do have an amputation, especially from a trauma side of things. Everyone, like I said, is completely different. So my story it will be completely different to somebody else. So yeah, it's just my experience. If there's any other topics that you want me to speak about regarding my recovery, especially mental health side of everything, please leave me a comment for any videos you want me to film, because I will always take them on board and put them into my video plan list. Thank you so much again. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your support, and I will see you in my next video.